Hi, friends, and welcome back to the ILM Realtor Podcast. My name is Tabetha, or Tabi, Klein, a realtor here in Wilmington, North Carolina. You've probably heard a dozen opinions about what's going on in the real estate market right now, specifically in Wilmington. Well, I'm here to pull back the curtain a little bit. I'm sitting down with Tim Milam, the CEO of Coldwell Banker Seacoast Advantage, for a true view from the top. What's really happening, what's changing, and what buyers and sellers need to know right now. I'm welcoming Tim Milam, the CEO of Coldwell Banker Seacoast Advantage. Thank you so much for being here, Tim.
I'm delighted to be here with you.
So today we want to talk about big picture, things that you have a background and understanding of that we're missing as being consumers in the market. What would you say is the number one thing that's happening just in Wilmington right now?
One of the most exciting things that's going on right now in our market is that we are seeing some good growth.
Okay.
And I think the reason we're seeing that growth is because we're in such a great area. People love to be near the beaches. We have culture, we have the university, we have museums. We have a lot going on right now. So a lot of people are moving here. And when COVID happened, I think Wilmington was already on the map, but now it's really on the map because you can live in Wilmington, work from home, and really enjoy the lifestyle that we all enjoy here in this area. Growth is a big thing here right now. People want to be here. They're not moving away. They're coming to us.
I was one of those COVID transplants. My husband's in IT. He could work anywhere that he wanted. And we looked up and down the coast, and Wilmington was just this perfect little town. It does. It has this beautiful downtown, a beautiful beach. It has everything that we needed. And the home pricing, I think, was undervalued over COVID, is what we really felt compared to other beach towns.
I think you're right about that, by the way. When we talk to people that live, particularly if they live up north or if they live out west, when they see our house values, they're like, wow, I did not know that. I think the other thing that's really interesting is our tax base is really low. So a lot of times we'll see someone coming from up north or maybe from out west, and we start talking about the taxes, and they'll say, well, that's not bad, taxes. We're like, well, this is basically for the year, not the month. I'm like, oh, that's what it was for us. That's what it was for a year, for a month, excuse me. And here it's like, no, the taxes are low.
Which makes housing more affordable across the board. I mean, that really makes a difference on your mortgage bottom line.
Yes, it absolutely does. The other thing I think is really attractive about southeastern North Carolina is this. Our year-round climate, our temperature average is about 63. So we don't really see cold winters.
We don't.
We really don't. And that is a cool thing. I mean, like today, it's just a beautiful day this time of year. It's January.
It is January.
It's just a absolutely gorgeous day. And the weekend was great too. So yeah, climate's good.
We're recording this in the middle of January, and yesterday was 70 degrees.
It was in the 70s. Yes, it was beautiful.
So good.
Yes, it was.
Oh my gosh. So what brought you to Wilmington specifically? Because you have a huge range of places that you could live, and you've chosen Wilmington.
Well, I've raised my family here. So I got to tell you, by the way, I cannot imagine raising my family anywhere but Wilmington, North Carolina. My wife and I are from West Virginia. We've been married 42 years. We both got out of college when we were 20, and we got married. And I went into banking. She was an X-ray tech. And in 1992, my brother, who owned the company at that time, there was 4 other agents when I got here, convinced me to move to Wilmington, North Carolina to help him decide which real estate franchise to buy, because I had a business background through banking. And we moved, Mike and I did, and we looked at franchise agreements and looked at different companies, and we decided that Coldwell Banker was the one we wanted to be with, and we've been with them ever since. So we moved here in 1992. My son was very young at that time, and then we had our daughter a little later. And it's been great growing up here with the family. I have to tell you, they love Wilmington. But that's what got me to move here. And then in 1997, we purchased the company. And I think we had one office I know we had one office and about 50 agents at that time. So it's grown a little bit, but that's what brought me here. My brother invited me to come here, of course, and I'm thankful that he did. And it's been fabulous. I wouldn't live anywhere else. Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
What is the biggest difference you would say about Wilmington when you moved here in 92, right? Versus now?
I think the biggest difference since 1992 in Wilmington versus today is simply we have grown. The city has expanded. The county, although the footprint hasn't expanded, we've seen more growth in terms of the housing and businesses. And so one of the things when we first moved here, there weren't a lot of shopping opportunities. And now there's much more. I mean, so you have a lot more places you can shop. I see that the university, UNCW, has done a great job. Cape Fear Community College has grown just so much and does such a great job their growth as well, by the way, in terms of what they're doing for our young kids. And so there's just a lot more to choose from.
Hmm.
You don't have to get in a car and drive 2, 3 hours to get somewhere to do what you want to do. You can do it right here and then maybe go sit on the beach this evening too if you want to. And that's
That's
pretty
right.
cool. Yeah.
I've definitely waited for dinner reservations with my feet in the sand. And I was like, this is pretty ideal.
Well, you brought up another point to say that restaurants. We have some fabulous restaurants here in Wilmington, North
Hmm.
Carolina. And my wife and I, since the kids are grown, we're empty nesters now. We eat out a lot, because she never knows when I'm coming home, of course. But we eat out a lot. But the restaurants here in Wilmington are just fabulous. By the way, I might also mention downtown Wilmington.
Love
Wow,
it.
it is so much nicer today than it was back when we moved here in '92.
Really?
Oh yes, yes. Back in 1992, that does seem like a long time, and I guess it was. There weren't as many nice restaurants, nice facilities, and now it's just really our Mayor Bill Saffo has done a fabulous job, in my opinion, with downtown Wilmington area. It's just done a fabulous
It
job.
was so beautiful at Christmas. All the
Yes,
lights and driving down Market and
it's a quaint little southern downtown, and
it
it
is.
is awesome.
But then we also have Live Oak Pavilion
Yes.
and these wonderful concert series, and it's right on the river. What a stunning venue.
It is. Live Oak Pavilion is fantastic. You've got the Wilson Center. Last year Jay Leno was in town, by the way, and so did a nice show, by the way. And they bring a lot of bands and things, and so it is. It's nice. And in summertime, the Live Oak Pavilion is it's hard to beat.
It's
I
hard
mean,
to
you're
beat.
out there on the river. You see the USS North Carolina
Right
battleship
in the
across in the
background,
background. It's like,
the sun setting
oh,
behind
yeah,
it.
it's gorgeous. Yes.
Speaking of restaurants, let's see. What's your favorite restaurant in Wilmington?
Ooh, that's a
You
tough
had
one.
to go out to eat tonight. Where are you going?
If I had to go out and eat tonight, the answer would be Portland Grill, which
Hmm.
is in Lumina Station near Wrightsville Beach. That would be it. But I will tell you another fantastic restaurant that we love is a place called Sugo.
Oh, yeah.
And Sugo is in the Ballast
The
Hotel,
Ballast Hotel.
downtown Wilmington on the waterfront. And Sugo restaurant is fabulous as well. But Portland Grill would be my go-to.
I'm heading to Sugo on the 24th, I think.
Oh, you'll love it. We were there Friday night. It was delicious.
Was it?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Give me maybe one or two practical takeaways for a buyer right now in Wilmington.
Mhm.
You're in Wilmington, you're looking at houses. What do you think you should be thinking about? Big picture.
I think whether it be Wilmington or anywhere, let me just say that, by the way, I think it's a U.S. Situation. Basically, the interest rates right now are hovering around 6, a little
Mhm.
bit more. Every now and then you might find one a little bit less, but a little over 6. But, I like to say, by the way, if you buy a home and you're paying a 6.5% interest rate, that's really not a bad rate. That's
It's
actually
not.
very attractive. So to get this, Vicky and I, our first house we bought when we got married in 1983, our interest rate was 12%. And sometimes people will say, yeah, but the houses weren't as much. And the answer to that's true, but we weren't making the money we were making.
Mhm.
So we weren't making as much money. Interest rates were high. So I think it parallels with today. But if you're renting, you're paying 1,000% interest rate.
Yeah.
Because really, in all fairness, you're helping that landlord make money, whereas you're basically just providing shelter for your family. There are tax benefits, obviously, for owning.
Yep.
We certainly have many options in loans right now for people to be able to buy. I think there's a misconception about loans that you have to have 20% down to buy a
Mhm.
home. And that's unfortunate because you do not have to have 20%.
And we're going to have a couple different lenders coming on the podcast in the next few weeks to discuss some of those options as well.
Well, I think, it's a big thing right now. Everybody keeps talking about the rates, and what it's going to do. And we've seen the rates come down about 1%, give or
Mhm.
take, in the last year and a half. And going forward, if you listen to the so-called experts, I believe they may come down a little bit more, but here's something I think it's important. They're not going to come back down to the 3s, 4s, and 5s or low 5s anytime soon. It's going to take another pandemic, which we do not want for that
Correct.
to happen. So I guess my point being is, if I were advising my children right now, if they said to me, both are homeowners, but if they were saying, if they were renting and they said, Dad, should we buy something now or should we wait till rates come down? I would say you buy it now.
Mm.
A lot of times we like to say, you marry the house and you date the interest rate.
Yep.
And I think because what's going to happen is when rates start coming down a little bit more, then you're going to have more buyers to compete with. And now there are buyers to compete with,
Mm.
but not as many as if the rates were to go down another 0.5%. And I don't really think that's going to happen. In the meantime, houses keep going up in value.
Houses keep going up in value. We've
Mhm.
seen that pretty consistently as the trend. I was looking at some stats the other day about not quite as many houses going on the market right now. So inventory is going to be shrinking
It is.
a little bit. And then when spring market comes, there's going to be a push of buyers. There's going to be a little bit lower inventory, and we're going to find ourselves in a little bit of a pinch. So I feel like now is a good time.
It is. We're going to see multiple offers, I think, in the spring and the
Okay.
summer. So I really do believe that, by the way, because I think that, as you mentioned, people get into the spring market. And I've often said, any time's a good time to buy a house if you can afford to do it. And so many more people can afford it. They'll
Mhm.
just speak to their loan officer about what I can and cannot afford. I think a lot of people don't realize how much they can afford. But I think that as we get into the spring market, we are going to see more multiple offers. And if you have multiple offers, you're going to pay more.
Mm.
And so right now is a perfect time. And I know people say, "Oh, you're a real estate agent." Yeah, you would say that. Well, I always think that home ownership does create um, net worth for people. And I've watched as I've now gotten older. I remember when I was a young man, I was in my 20s and 30s, and I would look at people and say, well, how did they attain wealth? And almost every person owned more than one home, and they owned real estate, whether it be a commercial building or a few rental
Mhm.
properties, whatever. They owned real estate because real estate in time is proven to go up in value. It's not going down
Yeah.
on a long-term basis.
We see the crashes, but the crashes are
Yes.
very short term and then we rebound, which we saw from 2004. Is that
Yes.
the big crash? And
Well,
all the way to
2008 was really the year that we saw the crash. And I don't think we'll see that crash again because the lending standards are much better now.
yeah.
And I think they learned a valuable lesson back then. But if you think about the last 2 or 3 years, we've seen a little less than 5 million homes sold. And I think this country will get back to 5.5 to maybe 6 million houses sold a year. I think 5.5 million is more likely to see in the next couple of years. So we've been on that down cycle, if you want to call it,
Mhm.
not the crash, but the down cycle in the last 3 or 4 years. Everywhere you look at all the so-called experts, we expect to see at least a 5% or more increase in
That's
26. And
awesome.
I think we're going to see it.
Yay.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I feel like 2026 is going to be a good year.
I believe it's going to be very good. It's funny. I've said in, I think, probably 23 or so, this year might not be as good as what last year was. And we might see a couple years like that. And sure enough, that's what we've seen. Well, last year, we at Seacoast, we did more sales than we did the previous year. Overall, our company in North and South Carolina, we did about 6.6 billion and just under 17,000 transactions. Now, that being said, we're in an area where people are moving, so we're going to be doing more transactions. But when you see the national average at 5%, I like to say to you, the agents, and you're a very, very good agent, by the way. People love you. The customers love you, by the way. So obviously, we're delighted, that you're here. But when we see a national average of 5 or 6%, I think we need to realize that in southeastern North Carolina, it's going to probably be a little bit more than the national average. A lot of people are moving out of New Jersey, moving out of
Mhm.
California. Here, they're moving here, and a lot of those folks. So we're going to see more than 5% this year.
I was going to say, I feel like Wilmington is almost like a little bubble. Would you say that Wilmington's market is different than like the Charlotte market or Charleston into South Carolina?
I think Charlotte and Charleston are similar to Wilmington because there again, so many people are moving from up north and from out west in many cases. They're moving to North and South Carolina. So Charlotte's got a good market as well. I think our market is a little bit more quaint,
Mhm.
and I think people like that. Charlotte, although it's a great city, I do think that it's a huge city. It's a big
It's
city.
big.
We in Wilmington, it's not uncommon. In fact, it's very common. We go to dinner, we see each other. We see people we know.
Every single time. It's
Yes.
so funny because it feels like a decent sized city. Like
Oh,
we
yeah.
go all the way down to Carolina Beach, but everybody kind of stays in like these little mini
Yes.
bubbles. So every single time I go to dinner, it's a teacher, it's somebody from, work.
Well, you're very popular and people love you. So you're going to see a lot of people that you know. And you do a great job with your customers. And so when you take care of customers, and that's what you do very, very well, I'm very proud of you. When you do that, you're going to build a lot of friendships. Plus, you're a great mom and a great wife, I'm sure. Think about a real estate company. I always joke about Seacoast, it's the Seacoast family. But the reality is we take care of people. And we work for people. They don't
Yes.
work for us. Customers, we work for them. And I work for you and the rest of the agents here in the company. But when you're good to people, and our motto is do something nice for someone every week. And I see you doing all the time. When we do that, good things happen.
It does feel like an extension of this care that I naturally carry with me from being a mom, being a wife, being a friend. And then I see these other people in need of, someone to walk them through this process. And the whole reason the ILM Realtor podcast even started is because we had friends moving down from Maryland and they had so many questions. And we just coached them through everything that they needed to make them feel like they had everything. It just feels like a natural care to
And
provide.
well, here's what you're doing. You're providing top-notch service. When you think about real estate agents, we provide a service. We don't sell widgets. We don't sell cars. We don't sell, furniture. We don't sell computers. We provide a service, and your top level service you provide to your customers while you're getting all these repeat customers. So, because if they've worked with you and you've built that trust and you're very good at that, then they know you're looking out for their best interests. That's what customers are looking for. And that's what we should be providing. You do that very well. You do
Thank
it very
you.
well. And so that's why your success is what it is. You become friends, you help them. If there's something goes wrong after the closing, you're there. If they need a plumber, they need an electrician, they know
Mhm.
they can call you and you'll help find someone to get that done.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That is the goal. All right, last question. So we talked about if you were a buyer in Wilmington. What if you're a seller in Wilmington? Because I feel like a lot of people are nervous right now about putting their house on the market in this, little bubble that is stuff sitting on the market a little bit longer. What would you say?
Well, and definitely there's been a little bit more competition the last 2 or 3 years than what we, I think we'll see going forward. However, let me say this, by the way, when you put a house on the market or anyone does, it doesn't happen overnight with all the marketing because you do a lot of marketing in a lot of different areas. So obviously from a seller's perspective, you need to be ready for that spring market. And to me, that's the January, February. Get it listed if you can and try not to wait until March. Certainly if you wait till March, yeah, there's a summer market too. But I think right now, if I were a seller, I think I would be positioning my house, looking forward to the next 30 to 60 days. Where's the market going to be? And I want to be in that market. I don't want to wait 30 to 60 days and then get in because some of the marketing you may have missed as you're setting things up, as you're getting the site set up, as you're getting the photos set up, and as you're getting the presentation ready to go. I think now's a great time,
Yeah.
because I will say this, the buyers that are looking in January, February, they're serious.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like the serious buyers are the ones that hit the market
Yes.
first. And so if your house is ready, the beginning of that market season, you're going to get the most serious buyers.
Well, I think you're right, and I will say this, by the way, when they hire when a seller hires a professional like you, you're gonna give him all the comparable sales, you're gonna show them what the market's doing, and then you're gonna help them position that home in the right position to get it sold, not just to list it. So, obviously, when someone hires you, they know it's going to sell. That's what I would suggest to them. You better be ready. Tabitha's gonna sell this house, by the way. You might as well get some boxes and get ready to go.
Get some
'Cause
boxes.
she's
I'll
gonna
get
sell
you
it.
some
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah, quick funny story about that, by the way, I have to tell you. One time my wife, I came home from work, this is nearly 30 years ago, and she said, "I think it's time for us to move." And I said, "Well, you're probably right." And I said, "Well, maybe we can do that." The next day I came home and she went and bought boxes and started boxing up some stuff to put in a storage unit. Like, oh, she's serious.
Oh, we're moving right
And we
now.
moved. And we moved. By the way, I often say a lot of times that the ladies do make the decisions about when they're going to move, by the way. And I think right now, here's the other reason why now is a good time. You want to be positioned, particularly if you have children, or if you're trying to get them in a school district, or you're trying to make a move for the summer. Now's the time to start working on that because the summer here will be here quickly.
It will be.
You'll be
And
ready
you
for
want to be
school.
able to enjoy it at the same
That's right.
time because it's such a great summer.
That's right. The spring's here, by the way. Oh my gosh. We go to the Azalea Festival and you can go to the beach. You can go to the Azalea Festival today and then you can go to the beach tomorrow. It's like, it's just beautiful.
I had no point of reference for the Azalea Festival. None. I passed a sign when we first started driving through Wilmington. It's like, home of the Azalea Festival. I'm like, that's weird. A festival for a flower, a bush. No, it is a garden tour. It's
Yes.
garden parties. It's oyster roasts. I think Little John's coming this year. It's
Yeah.
it's a huge deal.
They have some really good bands that come in and they have some really exciting people. And they always have the Azalea Queen is someone who's
Azalea
famous.
Queen?
And
Oh,
they come in and it's really cool. Like they'll have
The
her in
parade.
a parade for her, and and the police are escorting her down and, she'll fly in, and so it's really a big deal. I mean, it really is. And the whole weekend in downtown Wilmington
So much fun.
during the Azalea Festival is pretty cool. Yeah.
It's pretty
People
awesome.
love it. Love it. They love it.
All right, one last little nugget. If there's any last words to buyers, sellers for Wilmington, what is your last little nugget to give them?
I think my last little nugget is you need to find the right realtor. You may say, well, I'm putting in a plug for you, but I'm trying to speak as honestly as I possibly can. I think that you need to get pre-qualified with your
Huge one.
lender. Because you can afford to buy a $600,000 house doesn't mean you need to buy a $600,000 house.
Correct.
And I think that's one of the things I know you're good at is that just because you've been qualified for a certain number doesn't mean you're trying to sell them that. You're trying to sell them what they want.
Yes.
And you listen to what they are asking you or telling you that they need and then you go find it. Whether it's that 600 they may be able to afford, it might be 500 that you might be able to help them find the house they want. So I think the key right now is get the right realtor, get pre-qualified. You need to do that, and just be ready to, make that decision, because the longer you wait, I do believe the more it's going to cost you.
I agree.
And again, I do not think the rates are going to be in the low fives in 26. They're not.
Okay.
So the rates have come down about where I think they will be for this year. After doing this 30 some years, you see these trends and you start to understand. And I read a lot of articles in regards to interest rates and the real estate business. I just believe in my heart we're going to see rates. If they get to 5.75, I think I'd be shocked if we can get any lower than that this year. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think, okay, now you got to make a decision. What's best for my family and me? And I think that's the case, is get settled, build that wealth over time. You have tax advantage for being a homeowner. You have pride in ownership of being that owner. And your kids, it's been proven over and over and over that stability for your children makes a big difference. So find that right realtor, which is Tabetha, and get your lender. We have a mortgage company. I hope it's ours, but if it's not, it's someone else. I understand.
Yeah, we have a couple different recommendations
We-
ready to go.
We do, but get all those things done, and then be patient about what you're doing, but also start the process. You have to start the process to get going and educate yourself on the market.
Yeah.
And you do that very well with your customers.
Thank you. And that's what the ILM Realtor Podcast is here for, is to help educate everybody, get them ready to feel confident about buying or selling their home.
Our motto in our company is do something nice for someone every week. And you do that. And what you're doing with this podcast is to share information with people so they can be educated. And that's the one thing, we need to understand in the real estate business. Consumers don't know everything we do. Like, I don't know everything people do in other professions, right? And so I think you're doing a great job of sharing information with people so they can make a good decision for their family. You're putting them before you.
Yes.
And that's what you should do. And that's why you're so successful. That's why we're so proud you're here at Coldwell Banker, Seacoast Advantage. And, we've been the number one company in this area for 26 years in a row now. But I like to say we put our pants on one leg at a time. We're not better than anybody else. We don't talk bad about our competitors. We just keep our heads down and keep working and take care of our customers. We do something
And
nice.
that will show. That will shine.
That's why we've been number one for so long. I've got the best people, in my opinion.
Well, thank you so much, Tim.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate your time and you helping the people of Wilmington get a little bit more of a deep dive on the market.
Well, so are you, girl.
Thanks
Keep it
so
up.
much.
All right, see you.
Thank you so much for listening to the ILM Realtor Podcast. Next week, we're going to be talking to Joey Milam of Alpha Mortgage. He's going to be discussing negotiating seller-based closing costs and how to get them. Until then, have a great week, and I hope to see you around our perfect little city.